I'm 18 and I have two job offers for six figures before I ever finished high school. I have one offer for 110K and another offer for 120 to 150K. If you clicked on this video, it means you don't want to go to college because the ROI is not there, it's so expensive, or you just think you can do something better with the next 4 years of your life. Or because even though there's all those things on one hand, on the other hand, there's your family, your friends, your teachers, and maybe just some sort of self-doubt that you have that you can't really make it without a degree because you don't really know how. So I'm here to tell you that you can first of all throw all of those things out of the gate. I'm 18 and I have two job offers for six figures before I ever finished high school. I have one offer for 110K and another offer for 120 to 150K. And if I went back 8 weeks ago, I had no idea what these jobs even were. So I would be amazed that I'm able to do it, but I wouldn't have any idea because at the end of the day, you can't do this with every career. If you want to be a doctor, you can't do it. If you want to be a scientist, all of those things, nobody's getting a surgery from someone who didn't study at the end of the day. But there are several industries that you are able to, and even if they say they require a college degree, which is crazy, they would say they require it on the forms, but then that's really just to get the interview. But if you're able to find a different way to be creative to get the interview, then you're able to pass and eventually do it. And I was able to consistently do that. And at some point during this job hunt process, I actually got over 10 interviews in the same week. And I just didn't even have time. I literally, like my teachers would literally be mad at me on the amount of times I'd go into the room and try to have the meetings and the conversations there. So that's definitely possible and you can definitely get there. And the industry that's by far the best for this is tech sales, where you're basically selling software, you're selling anything technology related for companies because of a lot of things. Like, for example, the high pay for those entry roles is a lot higher because even if you went to college for 4 years now, and most entry-level roles, despite the fact they're still going to be super hard to find them, it's going to pay like 70, maybe 80K. That's considered pretty good, but I'm able to make over 100K straight out of high school. And that's because that's something that is possible. Even for tech sales, that's a little on the higher end. Most roles for entry level is going to be around that 75, 85, sometimes even 90K. But you are able to find those opportunities for even more than that. And I'm very fortunate to do it. And there's very, very good trajectory there. So it's not like you're making 100K and you're not just going to continue and grow. Like in one of the job offers, there's very, very clear metrics. For me, if I just book a certain amount of meetings and then with a certain amount of conversion rate, I think it's 104 meetings with the 30% conversion rate, then I'm able to move on and become an account executive when I'll be able to make even more money, be able to get farther. And look, you don't need to have these skills before. These are entry-level roles. At the end of the day, when you finish college, my dad is an employer and I talked to him about it a lot of times. Of course, he doesn't support this necessarily, but when he hires someone straight out of college, at the end of the day, he treats him like he just picked a random person off the street. He assumes they know nothing and they train them from the ground up. And that's the exact same thing with sales tech and especially for entry-level roles. Because even if the companies already know that you have experience, even if you already worked it somewhere else, they're going to train you from the ground up because every company has very specific things that they want. So unless you're joining a company that's literally just starting out, they're going to train you from the ground up. They're not even expecting you to know. And sometimes they even prefer someone who doesn't have that much experience, that doesn't have bad habits that other companies installed in them. So they can just train them to the way they like to do things and they could work with them that way. And so definitely don't worry about that. The only things you need to know is how to get the job right now. You don't need to learn how to do the job. Specifically about the entry-level role, it's called sales development representative or business development representative. You're basically not even really selling the software or the technology. You're only selling time. You're just trying to book meetings with people. So you'd email them, you send them LinkedIn messages, you put them into sequences that kind of automate it, and then you call them out of the blue. It's called cold calls. And you try to book a meeting with them. So it's not as easy as it sounds. It's pretty hard to actually call someone who doesn't know you and be able to book a meeting with them. And then you get paid even more based on how much you're making. So you're going to have your base salary, and which is usually like 50 to 60K. And then the rest of your salary is from the compensation where you book these meetings. And every single time you book a meeting, you get paid extra. That's your quota. Once you reach your quota, you get paid for that month. And that way, it's also like it's not like a regular 9 to 5 where no matter what you do, you get paid the same amount and you feel like there's no motivation. But the amount of money that you make is going to directly impact the paycheck that's coming in every month. And you can definitely exceed it. Most places, like for me, even if I accept the role for 110, for example, it's not capped. I can continue and make even more. And then in a few years, I can make millions of dollars. Like they have the top performers, like a college dropout literally didn't even have a degree. He's making $4.5 million. That's what he made last year. And he's not even 30 yet. So it's definitely very possible because there's that very clear trajectory. You hit these meetings, you move on to the next step. And that way you don't get like hold in the same back. I don't know if you realize this. I didn't. But for most adults, when they work, they barely ever get promotions. Like they'll be stuck in their role for a while, even if they put in a lot of work and put really hard. Because sometimes the roles are not there. They just don't exist in that company, so they don't get promoted. Or there's just not evidence. But in sales tech, there's usually goals. Once you hit those goals, you get promoted. And they can just see the numbers. When you put in the work, when you do good, if you're a top performer, they're just going to see and they're just going to move you up, sometimes even before you even hit the goals. Okay, and you can do this remote. You can do it from anywhere. You can do it hybrid. Like if you want, there's companies that only do remote. You can live wherever you want. You can have whatever lifestyle that you want while you do it. It's very similar to being an entrepreneur in that sense. And the potential is huge, like I mentioned. Like you could be making $4.5 million like that guy, and you can take it even farther. And if you're someone that's interested in business, if you're interested in listening and reading and listening to podcasts about business, then it's very likely that this is a very good way for you to start. For me personally, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I want to have my own business. And these are skills that's going to be necessary for every single business. You're going to be able to take the things that you learn and directly implement them to your business. And that's actually why I got into it for the first place. When I heard Alex Hormozi speak about it, but I wasn't able to find how to do it. But he really sold me on the idea of getting into sales in a way. And yeah, if you also have those ambitions, it's a very, very good sign that you will be able to succeed in that role. You'll be motivated and you'll be able to make the money there. And there are a few things that I do want you to keep in mind because it's not all as pretty as it looks. You're going to need to work really, really, really hard to be able to stand out. I mean, like, you're 18, let's be honest. When an interviewer talks to you, their first idea is, which recruiter do I need to fire? How did this kid get in front of me on this Zoom call? And you're going to be able to find a way to get around it. You're going to be able to make it. Like, I was able to do it successfully, consistently, around different people, get those interviews. But you're going to need to work hard. You're going to need to find a way to stand out. And there's definitely a lot of ways to do that. But before, I want you to understand that you're going to fail a lot. Especially at the beginning. Like, when they realize that, it's going to be pretty hard for you to be able to find a way to still stay on the call, to still get the interview, still pass on to the next round. And I really struggled with that at the beginning. Like, even after I managed to somehow get the interviews, I just didn't get moved on. I got rejected. But that's something that really teaches you what sales feels like. It really trains you to the role. Because at the end of the day, when you cold someone out of the blue in the middle of the day, a lot of the time, you're just going to hang up on you. That's a part of what you're going to need to do on the job. So it's good to start having that rejection. And then you're able to eventually build up, you learn, but you're going to have a lot of rejection. But it's definitely possible at the end of the day. But you got to be able to come into it with a mindset that you understand there's going to be rejection, especially at first. Like, when I was first doing interviews, I knew that I was going to get rejected from them. Like, I was like, I'm not good at this thing yet, but I need to take as many interviews as I take, and I quote Alex Hormozi there, until I just don't suck at it. How many times do I need to do it for it to be unreasonable that I suck at this thing, which is interviewing? So, like, I would just take in so many interviews. I'd be able to get interviews with companies that I just don't care about, just to practice interviewing, just to get better at it, so that when I do with the companies that I actually care about, I'm able to do it. Okay? And another thing that might be going through your mind is, what am I going to tell my family, my teachers, my friend? They're going to judge me. And not only are you going to be able to make more money, which is not important, but like with your teachers, you're going to be able to make more money with them pretty fast. Okay, sometimes even straight out of high school, sometimes a little longer, but that's not enough because they might still be disappointed in you, and especially at first when you still haven't seen it. And another Alex Hormozy quote, and that I really liked, is that if you have different goals, different versions, ideas of what success looks like, then at the end of the day, at some point in your life, you're going to either disappoint yourself or you're going to disappoint them. That's inevitable. So it's up to you to pick who you want to disappoint. I know I don't want to live my life and disappoint myself. And at the end of the day, once they see that you work hard, and once they see that you're able to do it successfully and you have your future secured, it's going to be okay. They're going to understand eventually. But you got to be able to put yourself in their shoes, right? Because they grew up in a generation where you needed college to succeed. That's just the way it was. The ROI was actually there at that time. People who made a lot of money went to college. People who didn't go to college stayed broke almost always, and it was very tough to be able to succeed without it. But we all know that's not the way it is today. It's very possible to be able to make it without college. And I feel like, honestly, those 4 years of programming, for the people that don't feel like they fit into everyone, the people who don't want to party, the people who don't want to get in debt, the people who feel like they can do something meaningful with those 4 years, I feel like for them, it also like pushes them, and they're almost like more likely to be successful if they don't go. That's the way I feel about myself. And because I know where I would be in 4 years, I have a very good vision for that. But yeah, they just had a different vision for you, to get back on the point. And almost like they're gonna have to grieve their version. When they had you 18 years ago, they would have never imagined that you're gonna be one of those people that don't go to college, because what they think is that's people that work at the supermarket. When I first told my dad that I'm trying to get into sales, he was saying like, okay, I understand, I just want to talk to you more about it. No, not really understand. It wasn't that understanding at first. But he was thinking I'm just gonna work in the library and sell books. Which doesn't make sense because you don't sell books in the library, but that's what he thought. And so yeah, and I want to tell you that I'm really secure about not going to college. I don't feel any sort of regret about it whatsoever, because I know that I got those two offers, but I can also, if I get fired, I can find more. And I'm very confident that I could find more jobs and be able to do that because of the skills that I've learned finding these jobs. It's not something that you can really take away from me now. It's already here. And I know that people who are coming out of college are also struggling to find jobs, but I'm able to do it consistently. Like I was able to consistently get through interviews, be able to get that. And I'm sure that if I didn't stop and accept these offers, then I would be able to get even more. But once you do it enough, then like you already know, I could be dropped wherever, whatever state, I would just find a job there, make six figures even though I'm 18, and be able to have a life there. And I can't imagine if I didn't. Like 3 months ago, I didn't even know what this SDR, BDR thing was. That's sales development or business development representative. And can't imagine if I was just to go to college now. Like I feel like my future, my entire life would look so different. And if you think college is not that bad, then go ahead, go for it. But if you stick this far into this video, if you're still here, then you probably know that you're not really fitting in with the majority of the people that are going to go there, right? You have a bigger vision for yourself. You don't want to go and start your life at 22 with $200 of debt, with 4 years that you could have done something meaningful, and then have to start looking for a job at that point, and then be stuck in a 9 to 5 that you don't like, that you're not making enough money. And I really want to tell you that's so possible. Like I'm literally 18 and I was able to do it. And ignore every other video that I have on my channel, because from now on this entire channel is going to be dedicated to helping people like me straight out of high school without college be able to get into tech sales. If you have a degree, that'll be even easier. But if you don't, if you're 18, you're out of high school, you can definitely do it, and it doesn't have to be that hard, and you can do it ahead of time. Even if you have college coming up in a couple months, you'll be able to even find a job before. It literally took me exactly 61 days, okay, from not knowing what it was to learning what it was to getting an offer. Okay, so there's a lot of videos on that coming up soon. And I don't have any sort of offer or anything to sell to you. I'm literally just gonna give this free value. And I do want to be able to work with you guys one-on-one. So I'm gonna put some type of link to book a free meeting with me where we could just talk, be able to figure out what you know, what you need to know, and then just come up with a plan for you to be able to actually get those interviews, because it's not easy, and be able to actually execute. I can help you practice with it and everything. So just book a meeting, I'll put something there. And yeah, really good luck. Please comment, let me know what you need from me more, or just DM me on Instagram, just my name with an underscore under, and I'm going to respond to everything. I literally got like 300 followers, so that's not going to be a problem at all. But yeah, do that, and I'm looking forward to helping you.